afternoon and welcome to a very special interview show of the Prode. Today it is my pleasure to have Lieutenant Vinod Bhatia sir on our show. Vinod Bhatia sir has served as the Director General of Military Operations of India, which is one of the most prestigious positions in the field of defense. Sir is a renowned television panelist, a columnist, and the Director of Joint Warfare Studies. Thank you very much, sir, for agreeing to this interview and welcome to the Prode.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sir. So after the talks between Chinese officials and NSA Ajit Doval, China decided to withdraw its forces from Ladakh. Like, what, according to you, may be the possible reason behind this, and what made them to step back?
See, we should understand the present context of what has happened. We have a line of actual control on the India-China border, which is a contested border now. It was disputed earlier, but after the Galwan incident of 15th or 16th of June, I suppose it's become a contested border. We have had peace and tranquility along the line of actual control for very many years. The last shot in anger was fired on in October of 1975, and thereafter Galwan happened on 15th, 16th of June. Both sides have maintained equilibrium and peace and tranquility. Though transgressions do take place, transgressions is when the PLA troops come into our area of the line of actual control, which is a line of perception. And similarly, when our troops go there, they also call it a transgression. And when they come to our side, then we tell them to go back and vice versa. And when they do not go back, or we tell them not to come to our territories, then there's called a face-off. And a face-off versus then called a standoff. So we had, the line of actual control is a line of perception. We have a line of perception, which is our line of perception. China has its own line of perception. And their line of perception, let's say Ladakh, is much west to our line of perception, which is much to the east. So there is this gray area in between, which both sides claim as their own. So that is the area where we have the face-offs and standoffs. So what has actually happened is that we had standoffs and face-offs very short duration. But in 2013 April, we had a major standoff for the first time after 86 years from Bronchu, which took about 6 years to resolve. This is Arunachal Pradesh. In April 2013, we had a standoff for about 21 days in Devsan Plains. I was a DGMO that time. Thereafter, we had another standoff in Chumar in September 2014 when President Xi was visiting India. It coincided with that. The third one is in Doklam, which is basically Western Bhutan, but then we were treating Western Bhutan, and that was 73-day standoff, and it was resolved at the political level during an informal meeting between our Prime Minister and President Xi at Wuhan. That is these are the four major standoffs which happened in the past 44 years. What has changed now is in 2020, starting early May, these transgressions have been in multiple places. They're more in scope, more in depth, more in intensity, more in frequency. So we had standoffs at Pengongso, which is in eastern Ladakh. We had standoffs in Gogra, Galwan, Devsan Plains, all eastern Ladakh. And we also had standoffs in Nakula, which is in North Sikkim. So the difference in this standoff was the intensity was more, the troop buildup was much more, and the scope and depth were more. So now fortunately the talks are on. The peace and tranquility is actually based on there are 5 agreements. The first agreement is also the Panchsheel Agreement 1954, which talks of Panchsheel, and that is the basis behind all our relationships. But then we have specific agreements on the management of the line of actual control in 1993, 1996, 2005. Then we got the parameters for political parameters and guiding principles, and then 2013 we got the Border Defense Cooperation Agreement. So based on this, we had a peace and tranquility. This was broken in Galwan on 15th or 16th of June when the PLA troops of China laid a pre-planned, pre-made ambush on our troops, in which Colonel Babu was the commanding officer, 16 Bihar, and 19 men were martyred, and that broke the trust in a very big way. So I think Galwan has changed not only the dynamics of the line of actual control and the management, but also it has impacted and will continue to impact India-China relations, including people-to-people relations. So that is in the context of these standoffs. So China has mutually now decided, China and India mutually decided to disengage. Why disengage? Because when you are face to face, these are high altitude areas where temperatures are very high, temperatures are low, but temperatures are very high. Altitude is not easy. These are 4,500 meters, 5,000 meters. So if there is contact, someone is going to go wrong, like it happened in Galwan. So disengagement is a very good thing. They have disengaged. So the chances of friction and conflict and spiral are that much reduced now. So disengagement started taking place in Galwan. It is also started off in Pangongso, where the Chinese troops have moved back first. They are included first, so they moved back first. So this is based on the military-to-military talks on 30th of June, with commanders, and the special military talks between NSA, Mr. Ajit Doval, and Mr. Wang Yi, who is the state consular and foreign minister for China.
China. Okay, sir. On one hand, the whole world is fighting a pandemic, and on the other, the China is busy expanding its territory. Like, how do you see this?
Yeah, I think one of the major reasons why these transgressions happened is also the pandemic. China is under pressure because of the pandemic. It's the made in China coronavirus. It's the common belief. And China is under pressure from the world all over because, in geopolitics and international relations, goodwill and soft power are very important. And because of the coronavirus, it has impacted the way of life, it has impacted people, it has impacted society, it has impacted economy, it has impacted jobs, it has impacted travel. So it has impacted every sphere of life and it's impacted everyone in the world. So there's no one who's not been impacted by the pandemic. So and everyone's blaming China for it. So China had to put some pressure on India because we look at what India has done after the pandemic broke out. We reach out to our neighbors in the region. We reach out to extra region, outside region, to West Asia. We reach out to Southeast Asia. We even supplied some medicines to US. So India was reaching out, and India in the emerging world order, especially in the post-COVID-19 emerging world order, India will be the balancing power. USA remains the superpower. China will be the challenging power, and China is growing power. And India would be the third power, which would be the balancing power between China and US. So China is basically what it's trying to do is trying to put pressure on India. It's a strategic signal to India to not side with the world against China, because if you see, 184 countries have voted for out of 182 countries voted out of 194 for the UN Security Council. So that is the linkages, leverages, and the respect we have the world over. So if we do not, China is apprehensive that India will join the world in condemning China for the pandemic.
So many countries in the world, including the United States, believe that China is responsible for spreading the SARS-CoV-2 virus. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think whatever evidence and reports are available, the COVID-19 virus is emanated from Wuhan. So that is there's no doubting that. So it has started from there, and possibly in case there was better understanding between China and the rest of the world, it could have managed. They could have banned travel out there. They did not. Initially, they thought it would be able to control it. But I also do not believe that it is any form of, like some of the reports said that China is related biological warfare. I don't believe that at all, because irrespective of whatever people may say, it emanated in the Wuhan city first and then spread to China also. So it was in case of biological warfare, then it wouldn't have happened that way. They were different ways of doing it. And then there are signatories to the treaty also biological warfare. So China is to blame for it.
Okay, so how important was the speech of the Indian Prime Minister in Ladakh? Like, what message it conveyed to the whole world?
The Prime Minister visit, which came as a surprise to many, had basically it was a strategic signal at the highest level. Uh, our Prime Minister is a very good communicator, right? And he leads from the front. Every crisis he manages from the front. So in this particular case also, he went to Leh, met the troops out there, met the commanders. So there are four signals which emanated from this visit. One was to the armed forces. Look, we are with you. You've done a great job. Continue to do a great job. And he, of course, went and met the people who were injured in the hospital. And second signal was to the Indian public at large that look, we have stood firm and we have a resolve, and our territorial integrity is non-negotiable, and we'll continue to stand firm. That was a signal which is given to the Indian public. The third signal went out to the international community. Look, this is our resolve, and we will not move out of this area at all. And if worst comes to worst, we're going to build up, and we're going to match China for every build-up, because the build-up is equitable and proportional build-up is there. And the fourth signal, of course, was to China directly. That look, whatever you may say, we are standing here, and our Prime Minister himself has visited the frontline troops, and given them a shabash. So that was a big signal to China. China, I suppose, when they planned all this, it was a part of military coercive tactics that China does. It's a strategy. It does this so in East Sea, South China Sea. It does it against Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia. So this is Taiwan. So these are China's tactics, actually strategies. So in this particular case, I think China went very wrong in its assessment of Indian response. It did not expect such a resolute response from India. And that is where the Prime Minister's visit was very important, where he went out there and he told, signal to China that, look, whatever you will do, we are going to stand firm, and our territorial integrity and sovereignty are non-negotiable, and we will defend it at all costs.
Okay, so Indian government has banned like 59 Chinese apps. So in the age of digitalization, do you think by banning Chinese applications, we can achieve the dream of digital India?
See, there are two aspects to it. One is the digital India aspect, and I know China is well into a hardware, into a software, into apps. It is difficult to buy anything which is not made in China. Most of the products are made in China, and if they are not made in China, they definitely have parts which are made in China. If it is not assembled in China, including the apps. But we have to understand that these apps are also security threat. Economic threat is there definitely, but there are also security threats because our data is with the Chinese, app companies, and the Chinese app companies are controlled by the government. We have to understand that each one of us, you me included, have got about 5,000 data points, and these data centers are now either in China or in US, and that anyone who controls the data controls the world, because your technology is based on data, artificial intelligence database. Your big data analytics is database. So whatever you do, you need data for that. So why should every app ask you for permission to know your location, to know your contacts on your telephone? Even some of the apps are asking for your to read your files on the desktop. Okay. So and we just say allow without even thinking what we are doing. So this is a major security risk. And also it is a signal to China that look, this is first it is security risk. Second, economy also. It impacts the economy. But having said that, you are right. Digital India, we'll have to create our own infrastructure which we do not have. That is critical infrastructure for the digital platforms. We'll have to create hardware. We do not have chips. See, after all, semiconductors are essential. We're not making any. So we'll have to look at all that, and it is not banning that matters alone, but it is a capacity building which we need to do alongside the banning of these apps.
Yeah. Okay, sir. As an ex-DGMO, do you think that there was any involvement of Pakistan in this whole conflict? Like, do you think that Pakistan got benefited in one way or the other when the conflict was going on between India and China?
We have to understand India is a very big country. We have the capabilities. We always talk about a two-front war. So we maintain vigil along the line of control also. If you look at the last 2 months, we have neutralized about 100 terrorists in J&K. So how we neutralize 100 terrorists in J&K? Because the information is coming from the people. The people are fed up out there. The silent Kashmiri majority is fed up of the violence perpetrated by Pakistan sponsored terrorism.
Yeah.
So, and just definitely Pakistan would have liked to take advantage. It could not take advantage because we are alert out there. If you recollect, I think it was June beginning, when there was a car with about 45 kgs of RDX, which was abandoned by the terrorists because the security forces got to it. Now, Pakistan, I think, after Uri and Pulwama, will not dare to cross our red line.
Yes.
Right? Because he knows that he'll have to pay a cost for it. He understood that. He will keep doing terrorism, but the terrorism will be limited. So he will not, it will not be a Mumbai. It can happen. I'm not saying it cannot happen. A Mumbai-like situation, a parliament attack, or Pulwama, Kaluchak, and there's so many other attacks that happen. Yeah, but now that we have taken the resolve of preemptive and premeditated strikes, so he will be very careful. But when we are involved in the northern borders, he saw an opportunity out there and tried to do a replicate of Pulwama. Okay. So that is the advantage which Pakistan will always like to take. And he is waiting for an opportunity because that is Pakistan's way of looking at India. We have to understand that we have to change Pakistan's behavior in the mid to long term.
Yes, sir. So which countries do you see on the side of India and which country you believe will take the side of China if it is a situation of war?
It's very simple. You have to trust yourself. Okay. In international relations, there are no friends, there are no enemies, only permanent interests.
Yes.
So we have to ensure that India is capable of safeguarding its national interests and national assets. We cannot bank on anyone to do it. We do not believe in alliances in any case. Our sovereignty is, sovereign autonomous country. But yes, every country will see where their interests align with. And our interests would be in congruence and aligns with, let's say, Japan on one hand, the US. Now we have a strategic partnership there. Some of the Southeast Asian countries, definitely, although they would be, openly, they may not come out. Vietnam, Mongolia, Russia.
Australia, I guess.
Australia, yes, Australia to an extent, but Australia now is coming out, but China has got a lot of stakes in Australia. Australia also, yes, why not? And they're part of the Quad, and Quad is very important. But in the end, we cannot bank on anyone for our security other than ourselves. So we have to be self-reliant or Atmanirbhar, or whatever we call it. Our security is paramount. India has to transform to a modern, prosperous nation and a secure nation. And if you go to transform to a modern, prosperous nation, we've got to be secure.
Okay, sir, there is a general belief in the Indians that Chinese are much stronger than us in terms of military, in terms of weapons, and in terms of air force. Till what extent this belief is correct or logical?
See, when you talk of strength, you have to understand that China has about 27 neighbors, right? So
Yes.
it has got the largest military, but the military is especially the army is also an army of conscripts, where people come and serve for 2 years and go back. Unlike we are the largest standing army in the world, largest voluntary army in the world.
Yes.
Each of us is a volunteer. Each soldier is a volunteer, and is selected from among many. For every vacancy we have for recruitment, we have about 1,000 to 2,000 aspirants want to be joined. So our army is different. But China, yes, it has got definitely a much larger military. But we have to understand it's got problems in Taiwan, it's got problems in South China Sea, it's from East Sea. So it has got 27 neighbors and it's got problems with a whole lot of other neighbors. So we'll have to look at that. It is not that everything's stacked up against India. It also leaves China vulnerable. So China understands that and in any case, war is never an option. War is last resort always. And China understands the war is not good for China. It's not good for India or not good for China. But China will never go to war with India until it is driven to a wall, because China is looking at challenging US. It will not get
Yes.
retracted by India. That's my take.
Yes. So at last, I want to ask you that till what extent do you think that the Indian government has managed this situation well, or you believe that Indian government has failed in doing so?
Indian government managed very well, very well. These are things which can happen. We were fighting the pandemic, and they had a pre-planned thing. They came in. I think we have managed very well. Within 2 months, they're back to their own locations, and this area has taken place. And de-escalation will take. I think we managed very well at the political level, at the diplomatic level, at the military level, and even to some extent the economic level. We'll have to understand that economy plays a very major part, and we got a $70 billion trade with China. So we need to make sure that that is the leverage which we should use, and we have to understand that China should know that we are capable of leveraging our comprehensive national power. So then only China has been very aggressive. We have to deter China's aggressiveness, and we have done it very well.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for taking out the time, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much, and Jai Hind. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.